Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is Dr. Sally Stone. She's a certified hypnotist, award-winning author, and nature photographer. Welcome to our program.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thanks for having me.
And Sally, you have two books we will talk about today. Golden Words, which is an award-winning book. Can you tell us what life-changing event that led you to write this book?
Yeah. Well, about 11 years ago, in fact, in 2 days is the 11th anniversary, I had a profoundly transformative bicycle accident. And it was transformative in two ways, both physically and spiritually. Physically, because after the accident, I developed a very painful nervous system disorder. And one of my doctors told me I was going to end up in a wheelchair on a morphine pump, managing chronic pain for the rest of my life. Spiritually, it was transformative because, for two reasons. One, I had this dream a few days before the accident, and after the accident, certain parts of the dream started to come true. It turned out to be a prophetic dream. And in the dream, there was blood and there was pain, and then I was okay. I was healed. And after the accident, there was blood and there was pain. And when I saw that the dream was coming true, I knew I was going to be okay. And I wondered, how did that happen? Who gave me that dream?
Right.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, how comforting to know that the journey is going to end up well.
Yeah. So that became an anchor for me in my healing journey, which was quite amazing.
Yes.
The other part of the spiritual transformation for me was I had this incredible out-of-body near-death experience at the time of the accident. And I lifted out of my body and I saw it lying there, and then I had this incredible sense of peace and contentment. And I visited different realms of existence. I visited the ancestral plane. I visited realms of existence where I met angels, and that experience that I had in all these realms of existence also were comforting and healing, and gave me the sense that I would be okay.
And that you're not alone.
And that I'm not alone. I felt completely supported.
Oh, that's amazing. That's something that we all should know about in our everyday life, almost, that we're not alone in those things we experience. Did you feel that there was an urgency to write this book?
At first, I didn't know I was going to write this book after my accident. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to write a book about this. I was working full-time, and I was navigating a healing process, and I was processing what had happened to me. Because, I told you a few things that I experienced, but it was a very complex out-of-body experience, and it took me a long time to integrate everything that happened. When I knew that I wanted to write about it was when I began to find the modalities that were helping me to heal. And then I felt that it was important to share that a person could go through this kind of an experience and be told that they were going to end up crippled for life and be okay.
Yes. And that is a very bumpy journey, right? It took you years to find the right treatment.
Well, it took me just short of 2 years to find a doctor that I worked with in Texas who helped me. He had a machine he developed that has a medical technology that helped me to reduce the pain. And because the nervous system disorder that I had, it's called RSD, it was very painful all over my whole body. It was a kind of a nerve pain, burning, stabbing, all the time, never-ending pain. And that machine that he developed helped to reduce that pain, but it didn't end, and it took time for that, for my body to heal from having been in pain for a long time. And then there were some other modalities that I used, including I eventually became a hypnotist because I felt that as I was going through that pain reduction process, that I wanted to capture those states of mind, those that state of feeling that I had from when I was using the medical machine, but also from when I was out of my body, because I felt fine when I was out of my body.
Yes.
It was just getting back in when it was injured that was the hard part.
Right.
And when I learned about hypnosis, I learned how to capture those states. I was able to reproduce them in my body without having a machine.
So this accident led you into a whole different perspective on life and being able to tap into resources you didn't know you had.
Well, yes, I had been meditating for a long time, but I feel that the peak experiences that I had at that time were something that was so profound in terms of this feeling of ultimate contentment, as if I felt like there was nothing more to be, to do, or to have, this feeling of everything being complete.
Yes, yes.
And to be able to rest in that experience, to me, became kind of ironically my ultimate ambition.
Yes, yes.
You know, my ultimate ambition became just to be in this complete state of peace, not feeling that I needed to go after anything.
Well, you know, that's funny because I recently was thinking about my father who once said that he was content. He was content with what he has. He's content with what he doesn't have.
Exactly.
That sense of calm and peace with oneself. You mentioned that there are other people that experienced this terrible injury and they had trouble healing. And did you feel that this book came out of that desire to heal?
Yeah, definitely. So
to share that healing?
Yeah, so once I really got past the pain and I was able to get back on my bicycle again, and you know, I took walks and became a photographer, and you know, that happened within the first few years. I used to shop at this one Trader Joe's, and there was this woman who worked in there, and she was always so vibrant and positive. And for me, having been through what I'd been through, I just loved when I would go out in the world to see people who were very positive, because they were like bright lights to me of what I feel like we should be on this planet. And one day I walked up to her and I said that to her. I said, I just really appreciate that you always put out a smile and you're so friendly to everybody. And we got to talking, and I told her why that meant so much to me and what had happened to me. And she just looked at me and she said, oh my God, my brother had RSD and he committed suicide. And I just thought, you know, that's tragic that a person feels that they have no hope.
Yeah.
That in conventional medicine, people cannot always be, their pain cannot always be resolved. No. And there's a lot of people who suffer from this and other pain disorders who resort to suicide because they don't know how to heal. And so I thought it gave me the feeling that I should write this book and tell people that they can heal.
Yes.
That there are ways that they can find resolution to the pain and go about living whatever it is a normal life would be to them after they've been through that.
That you need to give them some spiritual and support for this,
some
right?
hope.
It's not just a physical healing.
Right, because, I mean, for me, I can't speak for everybody who's had a pain syndrome, but for me, once I experienced that much pain, it became like a master teacher to me. It taught me how to create boundaries to take care of myself, both physically and spiritually and emotionally. You know, what do I need and not need in my life to live a balanced, peaceful, hopeful, productive life according to my values. And when a person's in pain, there's a lot of things they can't do. So you have to make very particular priorities and choices of what you're going to let in to your world. And so my book is about, really, Golden Word is about that. Choices. How do you create this sacred space within yourself and create a vocabulary of healing using golden words.
And therefore, they help you meditate and they help you to focus, right, in
Yes.
this very busy world. Now, you have to tell us about what makes golden words. What are some words that are not golden, let's say? How did you select them?
Well,
These are big questions.
So there's a couple ways that I selected the golden words. First of all, I had another dream before I wrote the book. When I started working with people in
exciting.
hypnosis, I started collecting their golden words because I had learned in hypnosis all about using positive words and the science of positive words and how they can change our state. And I did some other reading in neuroscience that it teaches about the
effect
the,
of,
yeah,
right,
the neurochemical effect in our brain and our bodies, and why
response to the word and the way it sounds.
and the way it makes you feel because of the way it changes the chemistry of the brain and the body. So I started collecting my clients' words, and I started making a little dictionary out of them. And then one night I had this dream, and in the dream I was sitting in this library and I opened up this dictionary, and it was actually a dictionary that had only positive words in it. And it was as if the dream was reflecting what I had been doing with my clients. And I thought, I should do that. I should make a whole dictionary, like a whole book of just positive words.
Yes.
And then when I actually started writing the book, I collected research on habit formation and changing habits, because we have to change a lot of habits, changing a lot of thoughts. So educational research, neuroscience, also hypnosis research, and research in psychology. And then I also, bringing in the spiritual component, to me, positive words aren't just positive, they're golden, because they can be so transformative. And for me, they reconnected me to that spiritual experience I had when I was out of body. They reminded me of the angels who I had
hovered over you.
Yeah,
right?
they were like this, these orbs that like collected near me, and I was told that they would help me in my healing. And when I tuned into the vibration of these angels, for me, if I was going to put it in words, it could only be golden words, because their vibrations were so refined. They weren't at all like any kind of words that we might say that would bring us down to a lower level. They were only these words that would be uplifting, 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 until we would be in those states of being that we consider peak experiences.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So these golden words, let's hear some of them.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you said, what are some non-golden words too?
How do we compare them?
Some non-golden words would be things that a lot of us say to ourselves all day long. Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. When you say like, I'm so stressed, I just feel it right in the pit of my stomach. I start to get contracted. And when I go for the opposite word, oh, I'm so relaxed. My breath releases, and I can feel my chest start to expand. So when we think of some of the words that we say to ourselves on a regular basis, like I'm stressed, or I don't have enough time, or I feel so rushed, or one of the words I hear from my clients a lot is, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed.
Yes. Well, I know my son says after a basketball game that I could have played better.
Right.
Why did I not? Why wasn't I a better player? And I said, oh my gosh, why is that? But we do that. I guess all of us, we do something like that.
I think it's pretty natural. I think that it's been found through research that we do tend to be critical of ourselves and kind of go for the negative. So we have to train ourselves to go for the positive. It's that part of our brain, the trauma part of our brain, going, watch out, be careful, let me take care of you.
Yes.
Let me show you how not to do it.
But it helps us to breathe too, right? You're talking about energy that goes in, and how we release the bad energy. And that to me sounds very Chinese too, this idea of qi, right? The qi that goes in, and what do you want it to do for you?
Exactly. It's very Eastern in the way that, hypnosis kind of meets the East in what it's trying to accomplish. And, meditation, of course, as well.
And let's hear some of the golden words then.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, well, one of my favorite golden words is serene. You know, and I like to have people practice golden words by starting with I am, and by taking a breath in, because as you were saying about
Yes.
breath, when we modulate our breath, when we take in a breath and say I am, and we release our breath and we say a golden word either out loud or to ourselves, like I am serene, then we're telling our body that it's okay to relax, both by modulating our breath and by using the golden word. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Well, I can feel that we're owning that golden moment. Where,
Yeah,
So that taking it, if you say I am
yeah.
first.
And I jotted down some golden words to share with you also. I love the word, the golden word, sacred. And, you know, you can think of anything as sacred, but I don't know that many people think of themselves as sacred. But, you know, here we are, we have this gift of life. And so in that sense, we are sacred.
Yes.
And we carry and take care of this gift of life inside ourselves. And those are other golden words: gift, life.
Life. In this book, I realized too that there's so many wonderful words that a string of them can continue that thought that I really feel my mind is not on the daily grind. When
Yeah.
I'm thinking of words like divine,
Yes.
right?
Is that one of your favorite golden
Yes.
words? Divine.
One
I
of my
love
favorite.
that word. I love that word. And we are divine. When we think of ourselves as each being a part of this larger energy, which was what I and many people who've had out-of-body or meditation experiences or deep hypnosis experiences have experienced, when we say I am divine, we reconnect ourselves to that whole, that oceanic feeling of being one.
Yes, yes. Well, Sally, how do we use your book, Golden Words?
So different readers have told me different ways that they use the book. Some people like to open the book and find a word of the day, kind of like, what's my word for the day, and open the book and point to one, because they know that it's a safe place to go and they're only going to find positive things inside the book.
Yes.
There's also 25, 26 processes in the book that people can use, and also steps to self-hypnosis that people can use to bring themselves into a very deep meditative state, which is good for giving yourself what are called auto-suggestions or positive suggestions.
And healing.
Healing
energy,
suggestions, like I am a gift, I am divine.
Yeah. So that means that your life-altering accident took you to this book that changes many people's life, but also your second book called I Am a Butterfly, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I'm a Butterfly is a book, a nature book for children, but it's also for adults. And it's my first children's book. I was a teacher for many years before my accident. I was a teacher for 23 years, and I love children's books. And during my accident, when I was out of body, I had this profound experience of nature vibrating with light. And I loved nature before I had that experience. But after the experience, when I was getting better after my accident, and I was really learning how to take walks again, because I didn't take a walk for almost 2 years. I walked around, but I couldn't take my regular walks or exercise anymore. And when I began to walk again, my awareness was so different, and I was so grateful that I was healing. I had this profound sense of gratitude. And I began to take walks in nature, and really I was walking so slowly. I was just noticing everything. Everything was so
sharp and
special and sharp, and almost like lit up to me.
And multisensory, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I noticed in your photos. Their photos are full of sharp leaves, but also soft petals and soft butterfly wings.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I think any photographer who loves nature, and I'm with that group of people who love to do this, I want to capture that feeling that we get in nature of being connected to this bigger force, which nature carries. And so I started taking pictures, and I took pictures for years. And I wasn't going to do anything with them. I just wanted to take pictures because it gave me joy. I didn't want to make anything out of it, so to speak.
And no plan, perhaps.
No, you know, I collected them, and I share them, and I started a website for them, and some people have bought prints, but I wasn't trying to make it into, I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Right.
And so one day when I was meditating, this book came to me, this idea for this butterfly book came to me. And I started writing it down, and it wasn't quite right. And one day it just kind of fell together. And I worked on it, and I worked on it with some editors, and I shared it with my mom, who's one of my editorial cheerleaders, bless her soul. And I started matching pictures with it, and it, you know, came together, and it's this story really about transformation that a butterfly goes through, but everybody goes through that. And it's kind of like a mirror for what I went through after my accident.
Right.
But it's a mirror for what people in everyday life go through in all kinds of situations.
So it could be a metaphorically taken, but also very concrete for children who are observing the life of a butterfly.
It's very literal for kids. It's about a butterfly who doesn't know she's a butterfly because she's not. She's an egg. Yeah. And then you see her hatch and get bigger, and you see the chrysalis, and she's in the dark, and she's afraid, and then she comes out, and she has beautiful wings, and she can fly around and drink nectar. So it's very much of a teaching tool for kids, while at the same time, you know, letting people read the story and feel that connection to being a butterfly and hoping for their wings to come too.
Yes, that's a beautiful message. So I see that your dreams seem to have a very nonlinear effect on your life, doesn't it? It seems almost like the dream tells you before it happens, and then now you're looking at a book that you completed. That must be an amazing feeling to.
Yeah, it is.
To see time in a different way.
It is. It is very profound for me. I feel really grateful to have those experiences. And, you know, I've worked with different authors in different author groups, and some people are very linear about how they write their books. You know, they're very organized, and they get their chapters mapped out. And even when I wrote my dissertation, I didn't write it that way. I guess I'm kind of a non-linear person. You know, it's kind of an evolutionary process of how I go about writing and letting my books and my artwork develop.
And they say that, well, you say you saw in nature this vibrating, pulsating energy, right? Maybe time isn't as time as a form of energy isn't linear.
I agree with you, because when I had that out-of-body experience, time felt like it was past, present, and future all at the same time. Wow. There was no sense of temporal time when I didn't have a body. I know that sounds might sound strange to some people, but in the spiritual world for me, there was no time. It's in the physical world that we have this sense of, first I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. And of course, in writing a book, you have to do that. You have to sit down and write the book and have the pictures, and, you know, there's a certain process to go through in doing that. But I think I have a different sense of time, definitely, than I had when I was working full-time in the schools, and we had to be on a very specific schedule of getting things done.
Yeah, to the minute of exactly where where we are.
Yeah, time
So
to me breathes. It's like alive. It breathes in and out.
now I think you shared with me once a study about how many images and thoughts do we go through a day?
Oh yeah.
Right?
So I've read that Deepak Chopra says that we have between 50 and 70,000 thoughts a day, and in having that many thoughts, I mean, some of them are subconscious, unconscious. We're not thinking about, oh, I have to make my heart beat,
Yes.
you know, but we have all these habitual thoughts that go through our heads that at one time were conscious that become subconscious because we've practiced them so much we don't need to think about it anymore. And then we have these conscious thoughts when we're learning things or as we're going about doing things during our day. And then, like your son, thoughts like, oh, I did such a bad job at that, constantly. So it's this process of re-educating our brain with what I consider golden words if we want to untrain ourselves from those habits and build new neural pathways. These neural pathways have been likened to sled tracks. So we have these habitual thoughts that are like deep sled tracks in our brain. Yeah, grooves. And when we retrain ourselves, we kind of have to be pioneers and go out into these new fresh snow and create new tracks with our golden words.
So how can Glenview residents get to that meditative state?
So in addition to using the 10 steps to self-hypnosis in my book and creating mantras and auto-suggestions, and I have lots of other processes, they can, do all kinds of different activities. For example, I come to the Glenview Park Center and I take a Tai Chi class. And what I love about Tai Chi, I always loved watching people do Tai Chi because the way they move is so fluid.
Right.
And that is the way that my deep meditative experiences feel, and it was the way my out-of-body experience felt. Just felt very fluid.
Floating.
And gentle, yes, and floating.
Yeah.
And Tai Chi picks up that very fluid and gentle movement. And it's been shown to help people relieve back pain and arthritic pain and help posture and, all kinds of neck issues and other. In fact, my instructor is a physical therapist who works at the Park Center.
That emotion is slow motion for ourselves, right?
Yes. Yes, it's very balancing emotionally because when you're doing Tai Chi, the energy, as you were talking about earlier, is in the hara, which is where the chi settles. It's in the navel area.
Chakra.
And it's very settling and it's very centering.
Yes.
To bring the energy into that center and feel very solid and balanced. And it can help people too who are older to feel more balanced because people when they get older can be afraid of falling, etc. So it can help them to feel more balanced and learn how to move in a fluid way that feels safe and connected.
That's a wonderful thought to end our program today. And thank you very much, Sally, for being on our show.
Thank you for having me, Yvonne.
And thank you. Join us next time on Off the Shelf.